Okay, so this is going to be the shittiest video I've ever made, but it's for anyone who has Fusion 360 and you want to put it into, say, Photoshop, so that you could go to a cutter plotter software like a Cricut, or even a commercial version of it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but I have come up with a way to do that. So what I have here is my ROOT3 upright that I'm modifying to work with standard bolts. So all I do is, once I'm done, you have to have individual parts because it'll drag all your components over. So what you do is you can click on the model tab up here, and you come down to drawing, then from design, and it's going to pull up this window here over on the right. What you're looking for is, I've got create new from scratch ASME in inches, and my sheet size, I know this thing is going to be pretty big, so I go 22 by 17 inches to give it a little more room, because you'll see when I click OK what happens is that it's going to put a bunch of rulers around the edges and then the legend down at the bottom, so you need that extra space. And you see my part is really tiny, but what you got to do is, here on the aspect ratio, you got to go to a 1:1 scale and then change it to the top, and that'll give you that part right there. I turn threaded edges off because I'm not threading this. I'm just going to drill it out straight, and you click OK, and it's done. And then up top right hand side you click PDF, all sheets, line weights, click OK. And I'm just going to save this to my desktop on sample print, and it's already there, so I'm going to click yes to override it. I'm going to move this, and then you'll see sample print PDF shows up down here. I'm going to drag this and drop this right into Photoshop. Now you can do this with GIMP. GIMP's a free software, so no excuses. And drop it, and then it's going to pop up a screen, and you see I've got it set up in inches. It's important that you set it up in inches, that you don't do pixels. You actually do inches or millimeters if you export it in millimeters, so it scales properly. And you'll see it automatically picked up the width in 22 and height in 17 inches right off the bat. The rest of the stuff is just 300 resolution with 8-bit depth, and I click OK, and it brought it in. And down the bottom right hand side, I'm going to create 2 additional layers, and I'm going to drag one of them and drop it below the image I just put in there, and I'm going to backfill with white. And then I'm going to click on the top layer, the blank layer above it, and I'm going to grab my marquee tool, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to blot out all this stuff around it by drawing squares around it to get rid of it. And then I'm going to grab my fill bucket, paint bucket tool again, and inside this I'm going to mark out everything but what I want to draw. Then I'm going to hit Control D to get rid of the marquee tool lines, and I'm going to click File, Save As, and I'm going to drop this down to a JPEG, and I'm going to name it Sample Print, and I'm going to save, and it already exists, so yes. And then it's going to ask me my JPEGs options, largest file possible so you get the best, cleanest lines. Click OK. Now it's going to save it to my desktop, and you'll see it's right here, Sample Print. So what I do is, now I move over to, I'm using Shortcuts a lot, 3 Pro, but this does work even for a Cricut. You can do 12 by 12 or 12 by 24 inches in some of the Cricuts. I do have a Cricut, and I have tried it. It does work. So all you want to do is find out whatever software you're using. You want to do a trace image software, and you browse for that, and you see I'm grabbing my sample print, and I'm clicking OK, and you're just waiting. It's going to take a minute because it's a big file. I think my computer's getting hard drive errors, but it's going to pick it up just fine. Click OK to drop it on your map. I have a really big cutter plotter. I have a 52-incher. And I print on, while we're waiting for this, there it goes, it dropped in there, see it dropped in there. So I'm just going to grab it and drop it about 1 inch from the edge and 1 inch from the side. The bottom down here on mine is where my cutting edge is. So, and you'll see. And I just got the pin attachment in it right now. And what I'm doing is, I hope this shows up on screen, but you'll see, I just use rosin paper. You can get it from a lumber store. It's what goes underneath your hardwood flooring and stuff like that. It's only 12 bucks for a giant roll, and I've been using it forever. And I use these things right here. I just, cut as close to the line as possible, but I leave the line, right? And then here's this part here. I just grab a piece of wood. So I'll go over and grab this real quick. 3M General Spray Adhesive. I don't know if anyone's ever used this. And I spray it on the wood. See how it just peels up? I spray it on the wood. And then I lay my rosin paper with the drawing up on it, and this way I've got holes like this. You see, now you'll see I got a double circle inside of mine. The reason why I do that is because I have my outside circle. When I make my design, I also put a 0.02 circle on the inside of it, so that it leaves a little circle in the center, so I can put a tap in there, and this way I got a place to set my drill bit so I don't get run out on it. But I use it to attach and make pieces like this. This is messed up, that's why I'm redoing it. But you can buy this if your lumberyard lets you for $1 a piece, just to get sample prints of it done. So when all this is said and done, we come back up here, and I got my pen in, so I'm going to click cut. And I got my pen, and I'm going to make it multi-line, so I'm going to make it draw it twice. This way it's good and dark and you can see it. And I click cut and send it to my printer. Over here. And you can see now I have this paper here, but this is real thin, and it breaks pretty easy, and it doesn't feed really well on this bigger machine like this. So that rosin paper, it works like a charm. It's nice and thick. I got mine set at about 100 pressure with the drawing tool and 600 millimeters a second. Now I also got it set up to return to origin, because when I'm done with this, I'm actually going to cut, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to grab my cutting bit. I think I have a rewind to origin. If not, I got to redo it. Nope, not rewind to origin. I'll have to do it again. Not a big deal, but pull up the logo. This is the result. You see? Now you just cut this out with a pair of scissors, glue it to a board, start drilling. See, only one has the circle in the center, and that's that top left one up there. I was going to cut it. When I'm cutting these out with my cut pen, I don't leave those little circles in it. I remove them, then I make the drawing, and then I transfer them over. I'm not real proficient with SureCut's Lot 3. I know there's a way to take your design and break it apart and get rid of the outside lines and the dots in the center, but I'm not that good at using this software. I'm way better with Photoshop and with Fusion 360, but this is my workaround. If anyone knows a faster way of getting this done, I'd appreciate you comment, even link your video below. I don't care.